So this is our annual fieldwork forum. We've had several of these. We got hooked up with lockdown in there with some of it, so we've never had quite a smooth sort of progression through perhaps in some years. Anyway, here we are, the 2025 one. March the 15th, the Ides of March. So can you all make sure all knives and daggers are left at the back of the room, please, for the rest of the day. So we've got a varied programme, really just trying to look at the problems and challenges there are in Kent archaeology. And I don't think the problems and challenges in Kent archaeology are very much different to the ones nationally. So in that sense, what we talk about today, we probably have the same conference in Yorkshire and get the same sort of reactions, responses, list of problems. So the general format of the day will be about 10 minutes or so from a speaker, just to get the thing going. And then there'll be about 20 minutes, so not too much more, please, about 20 minutes for you, the audience, to say what you think, agree with this, disagree with that, come up with bright ideas. And young Andy will jot this down, and we will type it all up and make a list of observations, recommendations and ideas that we can feed back to the trustees of the Kent Archaeological Society, and just really to see if there's anything we can do to improve matters. Now, I think some of the problems we're going to hit upon today are going to be nothing we can do about very easily, but there might be one or two things that we can improve on. So that's how it's going to go. So the programme is this. The first speaker happens to be me. It's carefully arranged this, so I'm going to sit down. The first speaker will be on, is there still a place for the volunteer? Strengths and weaknesses of the amateur archaeologist. And then funding a local group, problems in commissioning and paying for specialist services, and tea break. So then after that, similar stuff. I'm back again after that, volunteering commercial units. And you'll help out with that one, I think. And then various other ones have come through. The next one, we can't take any more depositing fines at field archives and Kent museums. And then lunch break. And then in the afternoon, some other talks before tea. Want to be away just after football. So that's the general programme for the day. I think it's very much a sort of think about it, and if you have any bright ideas, just sort of sing out as and when. All the introductory talks are really just aimed at getting the thing going. So think about how we take it from there. Right, we've got more people than I thought. If you want to shuffle around a bit so you can get a better view of the screen, then do it. I know the people at the end are going to find it difficult to see. So as my talk's concerned, there's not a great deal to see the pictures of. Right, so I will move straight to the talk then. I don't know how that works. Yeah, there we go. Is there a place for volunteers? So strengths and weaknesses of the amateur archaeologist. Now, there definitely are strengths and weaknesses. I think this is it's something worth just highlighting the point that, I would say there are aspects of amateur archaeology better than professional, and the other way around. So it's 6 to 1, half dozen of the other. Right, there are some archaeologists, some amateur archaeologists. That's the Dover Archaeological Group a few years ago. It really just underlines the first point about archaeology, and that is amateurs. They come from all sorts of walks of life. So just looking at the line there, I can see mostly retired people, but there's a builder, several civil servants, a couple of accountants, a teacher, a couple of chemists, and even a professional archaeologist on the end. Although I maintain, since I wasn't being paid for that, I wasn't actually a professional archaeologist. So there it is. That's taken on site just outside Sandwich, where we've done quite an interesting many well projects. Okay, this one is a list I drew up of possible strengths and weaknesses of the amateur archaeologist. It's not exhaustive, it's just what I thought of based on my own sort of knowledge. So with the amateur archaeologist, keen, motivated, enthusiastic, and I've certainly sort of had the case where it was sort of, if you'd like to shovel that pile of manure away in the snow today, you should be able to get down to the ground villa by next week. So that sort of thing is very common with amateurs. So yeah, certainly, where's the spade? So this is good. We've lost the one. I think it actually said fresh air and exercise is what it says. Yeah, that's it. So fresh air and exercise. So now I'm retired, I do need that. So, and then really the sort of the weakness, perhaps from the full-time deeper point, maybe can't come every day, right? Reasons which that's as it is. I remember certainly one of the sites I did years ago. The one of the volunteers never came on a Thursday because that was pension day. He was going to come this stage, which is fair. So willingness to work for little or no money, just subsistence, maybe. Meet for the actual individual, meet people from different backgrounds, various backgrounds, develop long-lasting relationships, friendships. And there's a good few archaeologists, including me, that acquired their wife. Gerald, yes, Gerald, yeah, okay, he's two. So if you're not married, watch out. And you get to meet unusual people, don't you? I mean, I've met Queen, late Queen, and I've met Prince of Wales. I've even met the next door neighbour of the late Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston share a spoon. So you get to meet these people. You get to know the Venezuelan ambassador to Britain. I met him, the Countess Son. So you get to meet these people, perhaps taking you out of your usual normal run-of-the-mill life. So I think that's an interesting one. The plus. Equally, if you've got a big project on, maybe some amateurs wouldn't want to turn up every day, all day. They've got other things to do, so that can be a bit of a minus. On the other hand, if you know that, you can build the thing in. Now, one of the great advantages of the local amateur, of course, is they know the local area. They know where the pubs are. They know where the clays are. They know where the hills are. Whereas if you're a professional archaeologist, you might be walking to a place never set foot in before, and got a clue what it's like. So, local knowledge that can be used to help others is something not to be sneered at. But equally well, some of the locals, they know where the hills and the pubs are. They know the details of the geology, and maybe nothing about the 8th century Saxon land chart or something like that. But there will be exceptions to this. Other people will be very good at that. I think this is an important one. The volunteer, the amateur can, if they're usually an amateur archaeologist, they're usually a professional something else. So they can bring all sorts of techniques. I don't think there's very many professions or jobs that can't be useful somewhere along the line to the archaeologist. And I'm reminded of Pete the plumber, who attends the water systems for us at Folkestone. He's a plumber, although he reckons his plumbing is so poor at Folkestone, he'd rather call it a water conveyance system rather than plumbing. Nevertheless, we get water on site, so as far as we're concerned, it's good. And you can have other people who know about such things. As archaeologists, we tend to know too much about things other than archaeology. So, it's always useful to have people, and it's always interesting and useful to have people who've just been around the block a bit, just seen a few things happen over the years. I think probably that's one. Some volunteers have physical disabilities, perhaps got a heart, can't quite manage the heavier digging anymore, but okay, fair enough. Still find room for you somewhere. I say experience of life in general, working as part of a team, that's always a good thing. Good for a laugh. But not always, maybe they haven't got the detailed knowledge of archaeological practice, field, craft, theory, but it can be picked up as you go along. So, you know, it's 6 of one, half dozen the other time. I think this is an important one too. The ability to undertake personal research. So if you're a professional archaeologist, you turn up and dig your hole here because that's where you're going to dig. You do your work. Maybe not too much possibility that you can go and hunt down the road and look at the surviving earthwork that might be related. So that's the ideal job for the local. They can undertake that. They can also undertake these offbeat studies. And in fact, many of the what are now mainstream studies really started off as amateurs doing rather more offbeat stuff. And I think, for instance, going back to the 70s, studying Second World War pillboxes, that was definitely a bit of an offbeat thing, but in fact now it's actually standard practice. And archaeological diving and shipwrecks, that has similar sort of offbeat sort of thing, but it's now sort of mainstream stuff. So, you know, there is the ability there for people who aren't tied to doing a professional job to do a little bit thing, a bit different, follow up, so on and so forth. And of course, it also allows the individual to think things through a bit, give it some thought, to develop their sort of thought processes. On the negative side, maybe they want some guidance and instruction on how to do some things. And of course, coming back to this idea that the amateur is maybe a professional something else, it is useful. Have a fresh pair of eyes looking at it maybe in a non-archaeological way. Sometimes that highlights things that perhaps the archaeologists haven't thought of. And also going back to this idea, people take the individual outside their usual sphere of sort of experience and what they generally do. This is one, we'll come back to this later in one of my second talk. There is a potential for the amateur to take paid work away from professionals, and that's a dodgy one. It never happens. So it never happens, does it? You know, don't get the impression that professional archaeologists are awash with money. They most certainly are not. And that's precisely why the professional will do exactly what they're paid to do, and the amateur may well be able to pick up on following up some background research which is beyond the scope of the project. So there are a few ideas. So it's not exhaustive. Certainly some of the minuses wouldn't necessarily apply to everybody, nor some of the pluses, but it just goes to show there's plenty of scope there for everyone to work together. Yeah. This report came out last year. Council of British Archaeology taking the temperature of grassroots archaeological groups today, findings and recommendations. You can get that free online. I recommend you have a study of it. It tells you all sorts of interesting things about local groups. I think I even filled some of the form out myself. And there's all sorts of graphs and tables there. And I think if you read it through, that's right, those in my group. So it does highlight how things are going. I came up with that figure. Now, none of this is very accurate, all right? It's just very much rough figures. I went across what I thought was, how many amateur archaeologists are in Britain? Difficult figure to, I mean, what's an amateur archaeologist? You can turn up on Sunday, do a bit of digging, you're an amateur, you never come back. You're then struck from the list. So it's difficult to gauge numbers, but these are nothing more than guesstimates, but I think the proportions are about right. So I just checked, the population of Britain is all but 70 million. today. Okay, so regardless of what you think of those figures, you know, we're not even 70th total population, nowhere near. So these are the figures. I picked these off the internet. They're as I picked them off, a little bit of doctrine or that. 1987, Amateur Archaeological Society and groups, 408. Not specifying what. And I think, and similarly, you'll see various figures going down. There's a lot for 2010. I think that probably includes willing volunteers who open up the church Wednesday afternoons and people who maintain traction engines and the like, which perhaps are not what we would include in our field archaeologists. But there's some membership figures. Professionals, that's tolerably good, that one. 6,300 professional archaeologists. I took the 300 for them that aren't allowed out digging. Okay, so that's 6,000 or something like that. So, however, I mean, so they're very much guesstimates, but you can see, you know, we never even approach anywhere near 1 million, not even 500,000. So we're actually a very small group. Okay, I think that was me.